Hello there, fans of Gigantic, and welcome back to yet another special video where I'm going to attempt to go through all the heroes to help you hopefully find one that sounds interesting to you, and yeah, you can try it out once we can play the game. Now I'm playing this offline in the practice arena, which is essentially a level that you have access to in the game normally, where you can go in and run around, try heroes, all the abilities, and shoot some dummies and stuff. It's a really cool map. For this video, I will not be going through Kajir nor Roland because they haven't really been officially released, so we don't know the state of them right now. But they are playable, as with all the other maps as well that we didn't get in the beta. But yeah, I figured that we'll go through this like quick fire, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. To start off, I figured we start on the left side here with ranged characters, and I guess Beckett is first, so let's go with that. So Beckett is like a ranged damage dealer. I would say pretty agile, very unique in the way she works, except I guess the left mouse button, as with all the heroes, is your basic attack. In this case, she has a machine pistol. She's got another weapon as well, but we'll get to that. So yeah, we use dumper ammo here. This can be upgraded to have more ammo or do burst fire. So I want to do burst, and then I want to have more crit damage. So now it's doing burst. The secondary here is a grenade. I'm gonna remove my cooldowns. There we go. So it's got a very small radius to it without being upgraded, and it just explodes. That's it. Now it can be upgraded to crack the armor of enemies, or you can apply poison after it bounces, for example. So I can just throw this. There you go. So now they're poisoned. The Q ability here allows you to swap your weapon. So it swaps your basic weapon. So I have the machine pistol. I press Q. Now I have a cannon. That's basically what that does. It has like a 5-second cooldown roughly, I think, so it's not too bad. And you can buff this ability to give you damage when you swap, or you can upgrade it to do some other fun shenanigans, like, oh, the cannon has shorter range but deals more damage, applies a burn, things like that. And the last, or second to last I suppose, the escape ability, or the utility, or you want to call it, here is a jetpack, which is really cool, very unique for this hero. You can use it while in the air as well. You can, have it as a crazy good escape actually, and it can be upgraded to do pretty cool stuff. So you can get a dash here, for example. So if I press forward, it dashes me, and I have the jetpack active. It's a really good escape mechanic. You can upgrade it again, for example, to deal damage or push enemies away. So if you want a really good escape jetpack, you can get that one. Last but not least, we have the focus ability, which is an airstrike. That's it, right? You put it down, bam, you fire some airstrikes. There you go. Easy as that. Man, that's Beckett in a nutshell, essentially. So let's move on to the next one, which is HK, the one, the only, the machine, the turret. So as with Beckett, we have a pretty basic attack here, right? We just have a sort of machine gun, or a gun of sorts, right? Just firing away. Now this can be upgraded once again to have firing speed, or it can pierce through enemies. So depending on, if you have a lot of team fights and such, it could be a good idea to go pierce. The second ability here on HK is essentially snipe. I'm gonna reset my cooldowns again. It snipes the enemy. So it's just bang. That's it. Pretty decent without upgrades, but I personally prefer to go a charge build on this one. You can go with a daze, like a more defensive build, but I really like going this build where you charge and then snipe, because it feels really good to whale someone down and then bam, snipe. The Q ability is a mortar, so it's more like an AoE ability. Really, really satisfying to use in when you have team fights. So that's really nice. You can upgrade this once again to be more on the control side or more on the damage side. That's up to you. I believe there's also a way to increase the size of it, the radius. So very nice, as it also pushes enemies. So if they're on a point, you know, they will be interrupted. I'm gonna knock him off this platform, looks like. Now, HK is a turret, so he actually has a turret mode, which is called Fortify. So what happens here is that I'm gonna sit here, press E, and I'm now in turret mode. I get a few nice buffs to me while doing this, but I'm static, right? I can't move until I use my turret mode again. Now this can be upgraded if you really, really want to be a turret. You can actually go a tanky version here. Could be good against assassins and whatnot, because they like to run up at you and melee and be annoying. So yeah, it's up to you how you want to do this. I like to do the tanky version because you can get a shield that not only lets you absorb, there's one shield that lets you absorb damage, but also one that a shield in the front of your character which deflects projectiles. So yeah, it's really up to you how you want to do it. And then the focus on HK Swarm. It's just a massive amount of missiles. So like I want to nuke this. And you just fire a bunch of missiles. Extremely good focus ability. I love using it on wounds. Guarding wounds, amazing. Or if the character, if it's not a super fast assassin, you can actually have you can use it on an assassin, and it will track them down. But they do have a flight speed to them, so sometimes they don't hit. All right, let's move on to Charnok, the one, the only. The Burninator here. If you played a fire mage in any game, I think you'll know this hero. Yes, the one thing, that basic attack here with Charnok is a fireball. So I'm just pressing it now, but it has a charge ability from the get-go, so I can just charge it and throw it to deal more damage. Now what I could do here is add a third level, so it deals more damage, or I'm like, I want to apply burn. It's up to you. So I'm like, oh, I want even more damage. So, bam. It's a very, like, it's a pretty satisfying feeling when you actually hit these skill checks, like skill shots in a way. So, the right click here is a fire breath, so really useful up close. You hold it down, it's a channeled ability. Now this can also be added it can get an added defensive layer to it, which is really nice, where you deflect projectiles and everything, so you get shield in front of you, or you can go once again more damage. It's really up to you how you want to play it. You can have you can apply burn, for example, if you'd rather have that. But yeah, sometimes I don't feel like I don't need the defensive option, because the next ability here is really fun. It's Detonate. Detonate is essentially, it's an escape ability, right? So you just launch yourself into the air. It does deal damage to enemies around you and push them a bit. So what you can do here is you can, for example, I like to take dive bomb because it allows me to use the escape, but then go back down. Right? So you can use it as initiate fights, or you can try and land on assassins that have, they're trying to escape, things like that. It also applies burn, which is nice. The next ability is a area denial, where it hails down just a lot of small fiery orbs or whatever they are. There it is. It can be upgraded to actually have a meteor land. So if I go here, I now have a meteor, and I can remove the delay, or I can stun enemies. So if I use my AoE here, now there's a meteor, and if they stand in it, they get stunned for a short amount of time. You can do that or remove the delay. It's like, do I want damage or more control? Now the focus ability here is really cool. I have to give myself focus because it won't work sometimes for some reason. It's called Flame On. Basically, it's a massive area denial, like massive fire pillars. So I put it here. You can see it spawns crazy amounts of fire. Very useful, has incredible reach to it. So really cool. All right. I want to make sure I don't press quit. That would be bad. Let's go with Ezren. Now Ezren is a pretty new hero to the game. I haven't played him that much, but the unique thing with Ezren is that he collects souls. I know it sounds very nasty, but basically the basic attack here lets you steal a soul from an enemy. So you target someone, and if you're within range, he will steal the soul and it will also heal you. So you can store these to use them for other abilities, right? So here's the enemy, and now I damage them. I get a soul, which you can see the lines next to my crosshair, the blue ones, and they also decay, as you can see. So I'm now attacking and I'm stealing souls. That's what I'm doing. That's the basic attack here, or I guess attack. You can buff the healing or damage, which is quite common in this game, like offensive, defensive option. The right click will use the soul to deal damage. And once again, you can decide, oh, do I want to deal more damage, or AoE? Yeah, it's really up to you. But if I have my souls here, I can fire this. You see, fires them pretty quickly, almost like a machine gun. But yeah, I'd say it's pretty decent. So for Ezren, it's very much like T-Mat in a sense, where you have like a single target or AoE. That's pretty much what you can go with, I would say. Ezren has a very unique, I'd say, defensive option here. You get an aura def, which deals damage, but also gain damage reduction. So you don't really have like many heroes have teleport or whatever. But Ezren is like, I'm just gonna chill here. So I'd say this is one of the more interesting, more important options when you play. Like, what type of defensive do you want here? So, but essentially you use this. Now I'm taking less damage, and I'm also dealing damage to enemies around me. Now, depending on the fight or depending on the game, I would probably go speed here, but it really depends, what you need, I would say. Like, do you have to escape often? Do you have to heal more? Things like that. The next ability is the Well of Souls. Another area of denial, which is really, really great. I believe when I played him last time, I used the AoE build for this. So instead of healing myself for more, I basically just broke the armor and stuff. But yeah, you put it down like this. It's a short delay, and oh yeah, they get immobilized by default. That's really nice. All right. Yeah, so cool area denial. Like I said, you can decide what you want to do here. You can do crazy amount of healing depending on your souls, or do you want to just be annoying and debuff enemies? Kind of reminds me of Xenobia in a way. The ultimate here is really cool. You go up above ground and you essentially I believe you steal souls during this. Is that the case? I believe you do. It's kind of weird, but like, oh yeah, I have to give myself focus. So I do this. You see, I'm stealing the souls. So it's essentially the basic attack, this one, but instead I'm like doing it to everyone around me, right? So a really nice way to get a lot of souls quickly, essentially, and then use them for other cool stuff, for your other abilities to basically empower them. So yeah, it's a very unique, cool hero that's also quite new, and I haven't played it that much, but very interesting. So moving on, let's look at the T-Mat. Speaking of the AoE and single target, T-Mat is next. Another robot character, also a new character that I really found it really fun when I played the beta last time. So T-Mat has once again a basic attack, extremely big. No, but it's essentially like you fire this, right? It's like yeah, like a ray of light, or I don't know, laser or something. I think they call it, what was it called? Energy blast. I like this. I like this basic attack a lot because it's essentially like a skill check or a skill shot, which it's really fun to play with. So I had a lot of fun with that. But once again, you can get more damage or more damage. So the synergy here is if you apply burn to enemies, or if they're burning, you can deal more damage. If you don't want to rely on burn, you can just skip that completely. So that's up to you, because we have the homing missiles, which is the secondary here. So I'm holding it down, and now I targeted Knossos, and he fires all of them. He's now burning. Sorry, if I had the upgrade, I would deal more damage now, for example. Or I can press it once, and he goes off. Now you can target more than one enemy, so I can target Knossos and this Mosquito, right? So you can pick and choose who you actually target. Do you want to nuke one character, or do you want to like destroy them all? Like just one. All right. The Q here, as is with most heroes, is a sort of a defensive ability, right? This is really cool. It allows you to sorta is like Beckett's upgraded jetpack. Like you just fly forward like this. It looks probably a bit lame, but it's actually very useful. So, and you can do some cool stuff here. You can get a move speed when you land, or I believe this is in the single target build. I think it's a single target build that uses this one, where while you're flying, you actually shoot down a beam like that, so you can actually damage enemies. I'd say that's probably my favorite upgrade for this skill, where you just blast the ground. I wish it would fly a bit higher because it feels a bit low, but maybe this is me. The E ability here is the EMP, so you shoot EMP balls, or one EMP ball rather, big one. So you see I'm dealing damage and shocking enemies here. Shock deals damage over time, and it will deal a large amount of damage when it runs out. Now, I can upgrade this to deal more damage, or I can do this, which is actually pretty funny. Let's check the first upgrade. Yeah, so now it's a triple ball attack. And I'm like, okay, well, I want to do even more stuff. So now we got 5. So yeah, it's pretty fun. It's kind of like an area denial now, right? Because it actually applies on the ground. It applies all the balls on the ground, the AoE. So really cool. It gave me focus. I'll give myself some focus here. The focus for T-Mat is overclocked. Another missile ability, which is not surprising, but I'm just going to target Knossos, poor guy, and I'm going to zap him like this, and I can fly during this, which is really cool. So unlike HK, like if you're not in turn mode on HK, you can still move while firing your missiles. Well, no, I think you're actually stationary now. Yeah, T-Mat can just zap and then like move around like this, like nuke someone. It's a very, very strong nuke, a very good one. I like it. And then we use nuking with all the missiles, and we still don't kill him because it's not. Okay, there we go. All right. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. Oh man. Oh boy, do we have fun hero. Okay, Imani is the sniper. Wow, they changed icons. I didn't play Imani in the beta, so this is very surprising to me. A note, if you're playing this when it's released, you can actually summon things here. So actually, if you stand in this, you can change which hero you want to attack. So if you want a tanky character, you can summon like Margrave or something. Yeah, Imani is the sniper. Surprise, surprise. The basic attack is the triple bolts. So it's like a burst like this. Doesn't do much, but sometimes it actually helps, believe it or not. Now, for this, normally you used to have damage dealing upgrades, but for Imani you can go damage or buff, right? So, I want to escape, so I can shoot someone and then just run away. right? You can't do that. Or I'm like, no, screw that, I'm all in, I'm just gonna go damage. Right? So yeah, that's up to you how you want to play that. The right click here is a sniper scope, so I'm zooming in and bam. Right. Now this can be upgraded to give you one of the coolest upgrades in my opinion, because it gives you an extra charge level, and if you hit on a full charge, it actually like keeps it going in a way. So basically if I wait, let me check the last one here. Yes, so if I go full on here and I'm like, okay, 2x, I hit him, now I get another charge, and as long as I keep hitting with the full charge, I don't have to wait for it to charge up. I can zap him, right? So if you're really good at like sniping in this game and like hitting your shots, you can just do this. And it's really fun. Like if you don't hit your shots, you're gonna be sad. So, but it's some of the most fun you can have in my opinion. The Q here is a way for you to deal more damage, because you need that as a sniper. So it buffs your next few shots. So now I can like bam, shoot him, and now he's burning, and I dealt more extra extra damage because I applied the bolts here. So for this I can be more controlly or deal more damage. Do I want more fire, burn, or do I want to slow them down? Which is actually kind of like, even though I have the triple stage here, I feel like it's actually kind of fun to go freeze here, mostly because you can be really, really annoying. So if I charge it up and then use my ammo, you can see it's frozen. It also freezes enemies around him. So like, since you tend to be far away from the fight, right, or should be, ideally, you can help your teammates, right? So if you hit someone that's trying to escape and then you slow them down, you know, maybe you have an assassin that can catch up and get the kill, you know, stuff like that. Now, the defensive option on Imani is actually on the E button, so they like to switch it around a bit, I don't know why, but the E here is a smoke bomb. So, and it's not only for you, it's also for your allies. So obviously I'm invisible, so I can, you know, it's a nice escape when the pesky assassins show up, right? Now this can be upgraded to also be more like control-y in a way, or you can launch yourself. So it's like, what do I want to do, right? Do I want to daze those enemies? I'm like, I want to launch myself. Screw that crap. I want to escape as much as I can. Like full-on escape or purify yourself, right? So I can launch myself. So if you're in a spot where you have a platform next to you, you can definitely escape by using this. And now you're up on the platform, and the assassin has to run around like an idiot. So, so that's really, really, really useful. I don't know, I like smoke bombs are interesting. Maybe not stealth so much, but yeah. And the last ability here is the focus, which is a kill shot, which basically buffs your next few shots. So you go to sniping mode and you bam, 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 deals a ton of damage. And yeah, just make sure that, you know, you hit your shots, because you're gonna deal more damage. Make sure it's like kind of like this thing. Like, I want to have consecutive shots. Make sure you hit, essentially. But yeah, that is basically the sniper character in this game. We do have a few skill shot based ones, and that is yet another one of them. Let's have a look at Voden. Haven't played much Voden, but very interesting. Voden is it's like Imani is like when you play sniper in TF2, but then you switch to Huntsman. So now we're playing the bow character, the sniping bow character. So the basic attack here allows you to draw your bow. It has 2 stages. You can like quick snipe if you want, quick draw, what you want to call it, like this. Now it can be upgraded once again to, you know, you deal more damage. Who doesn't like dealing more damage, right? Or you can fire more arrows. Now, I haven't really, or personally I'm not a big fan of this one, but I do want to play more of Voden. but essentially, you know, you fire like 5 arrows now. Now they are very narrow, so on larger targets, like, you know, Knossos here, I'm actually hitting all the arrows. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of like having that skill shot, high damage thing, kind of like Imani in a way. The right click here creates a puddle of, I was about to say something completely different, but it's poison. So this also buffs your attack. So if I put this down, you can see there's a poison pool here. And now if I fire this, my arrows now apply poison. I'm gonna remove my cooldowns because I keep forgetting. So poison and poison, right? Any enemies that walk into this will be poisoned, right? That's how that works. You can increase the size here if you want to, or you can do something really fun, which I don't know, I like to do this one. I don't know why, it's just funny, but you can, instead of putting a pool down now, it actually throws it at the enemy. So now they're poisoned. So it's like if you really want to be pesky single target damage dealer, or I don't know, maybe they have an annoying tank that needs to have healing reduction or whatever it is, right? You can just like throw the poison, like throw it. Pretty funny. The Q here is the defensive ability where it creates a decoy, so it basically copies your character. So I'm like, oh no, okay, there's the decoy, run away. You can't sprint though, but there's a decoy right there. So I tend to see a lot of, in the latest beta, I did see a lot of people being baited by this. So I mean, it works really well. Yeah, I feel like it's kind of obvious when it is a decoy. It does keep firing though, like it's gonna go there, and then it's like, oh shit, there's an enemy. So yeah, it can be upgraded to do some cool stuff. You can teleport, which is pretty fun. So you can do like this bait and switch if you really want to do that. And you can also heal yourself when you use it. So if I press, I wonder if it will work with the cooldowns. But if I press this, and again, yeah, I teleport. So you can do like this bait and switch, like, oh crap, and then the assassin, like, oh, the assassin knows that you're going somewhere. And if they're not waiting there, you can just like teleport back before the duration goes out, which is the bar in the middle. So you teleport back, and there you are. And you can keep poisoning people. The E here is a healing. So kind of like, yeah, like the poison when it's not upgraded. You put down a heal like this, and heal yourself and allies, which is really nice. You can also add some functionality to this one. You can push enemies away, and I'm like, you can also do this, make you snipe people from above, you know, because you're cool like that. So yeah, really cool stuff. Even trick shots and stuff, you know. You can't really do that on Imani. Well, you sort of can when if you start scoping in the air, I suppose. You can do that. And the focus here on Voden will immobilize enemies. Well, this guy does not like me. He's out of range. It will immobilize enemies. So I put this down, and then I rooted. There's a big root there, and they won't be able to move. I believe it goes up, duration and stuff goes up with this, and damage as well. And yeah, all of the focus abilities have passives, so you guys know. I'm not going to go through them though, but they do have passives. Very important to make sure that you check those out. Yeah, so that's a massive root duration right there. At least 5 seconds or so. Alright. So there's Voden. Let's move on to Mozu. Sorry, my phone is a bit annoying today. Mozu is the wizard. The wizard in the game. A very annoying poking wizard. Now, when I went to Gamescom, people had a hard time figuring this character out, because the left click, the basic attack, you want to hold it down. So, if you just click it, you're gonna get this thing. And you're like, what is going on here? Well, this is weird. No, you have to hold it down, right? So that's how you fire bolts, like that. Now you can upgrade this to buff your attack speed. You can do some really nasty, like I think one of my old videos is essentially like a machine gun Mozu, where you like buff your attack speed like crazy. It's pretty funny actually. It can get pretty crazy. Yeah, that's the left click. So I want to hold it down, and it zaps away. The right click here is a beam, essentially a laser you attach to the enemy, and it slows them. So if I walk up to Knossos here, you see it's slowed, and I just keep channeling it. I'm holding it down, so I'm just channeling, deals damage and slowing, while I have this attached. Like this. And what I like to do here is actually fire more stuff at them, basically. So if I do this, I'm also now attacking. So you can see Mozu is now actually using the wand, the tail wand, to do the beam, but I'm also using my basic attack at the same time. But I'm only holding down my right mouse button, right? But I'm still attacking. So this is the upgrade I like to use. Very nice. The Q here is a really cool ability where it puts a shield up that deflects projectiles. So it looks like this. So anything from the other side will not hit me. That's basically what it does. But you can do some fun stuff with this. You can pull enemies into this. And you can daze them. So if I put it near Knossos here, oh, that's a massive range. If I put it near Knossos, like it pulls them and dazes them. So you can like interrupt enemies in a really nice way, while you still have the deflection, right? They still can hit you with ranged attacks. The E here is a teleport. I mean, that's pretty much it. Like you teleport, but you can do some. I mean, it's really. There's like defensive, offensive options here. I think when I play Machine Gun Mozu, I will go with restoring stamina and reduce cooldown, because you can. Yeah, it can get pretty nasty. So you just attack, you get ganked, and then you're like, oh, well, I'm gone. But now I have a damage boost. So you could technically turn around, like zap them. You could even put this down to like daze them if they get too close. Like, I don't know, laser them, you know? There's a lot of stuff you can do. Now, if I press my basic attack here, and I put this down, and then press it again, you actually get, like, with this upgrade, you get higher attack speed. And with this, I get it instantly. So, that's the Machine Gun Mozu that I like to play. The focus here is a massive ray. It's a massive nuke. So you do this, and then bam. It deals, like, even on level 1, it deals a lot of damage. So if I max this out here, like, there we go. Really nice nuke. I think they might have nerfed it at some point, but it's still very strong even at level 1. So yeah, that is Mozu, the wizard of sorts. Let's move on to Oru. Oh boy. Sorry, my phone is acting up again. So Oru is a interesting newer celestial hero, I suppose. Oru is all about cards. So you want to throw cards, you have various cards here, and then you want to reveal them, which is basically how that works. So the basic attack here applies the judgment card. So like this, you throw it and apply the burn. Very cool animations. And you can see the icon on the Knossos here. It's burning away. Right click. But before we go on, it's sort of the same thing here with the basic attack, right? You can go damage, or you can reduce the cooldown of cosmic power, which we'll get to later on. So I'm not going to get the upgrades just yet. The right click here is a different type of card, right? The beast, like this. And then my cooldown. So that's the beast. It applies a slow, but also it doesn't fire as one. It fires a few of them, right? In a cone, so you can hit more than one if you're lucky. The important part deals a tiny bit of damage, but applies a slow, which is very, very useful. And this one you can throw more cards, or you can be more controlling. It's up to you. The Q is the Joker, which is another card, right? So we got a few different cards here. The Q is a trap card. So if I put this down here, you can see, or put some cards down. These are traps. So if enemies run into these, they will take damage and be pushed. And you can even drop more of them. Wow. Imagine that. You can apply more debuffs here if you want to. Yeah, we're just gonna cover the battlefield. Okay, maybe not, but it's fun. Yeah, so we have different cards here. We have Judgment, the Beast, and the Joker, which all do different things. The E here is Cosmic Power, which basically is an AoE, and any card within the area is revealed, right? Except for it's the no, not the Joker. It's only the first two, right? So Judgment and Beast. But you reveal them, which basically means that something additional happens, right? So if I have Knossos, if he is afflicted with both my cards here, and then I press my Cosmic Power, he now took more damage, and he was dazed for a short amount of time. So the Q is really the Q doesn't work with Cosmic Power. It's more like the defensive option. It's more like you want to use your basic attack, your right click, and then use your Cosmic to trigger those effects. But they are consumers, so you gotta be aware of that. Now the focus here is pretty hilarious in my opinion. You go up into there, you hover in there quite high actually, and what you do is you throw a nuke type of card, which is called Death. And death cards are revealed after your focus ability ends, right? So it will deal more damage when the focus ends, but it also deals more damage to enemies who have lower health, right? So if I press this, I go up in the air and then I throw these death cards, the focus is over, bam, there you go. So if I keep going here, if I can get him a bit lower, if I do, let's do it 50% here, I apply my cards, death cards, focus ends, bam. I think it deals like is it 50% more damage, I think? Yeah, 50% more damage. No wait, sorry. It increases damage to enemies below 50, that's what I meant. So, and if you have full focus, it's really, really nasty. Yeah, or is throw cards at your enemies, reveal them, right? Use your Q as trap cards to defend yourself, and then you zap people with your death cards. Really, really cool hero. Very, very unique, and I mean, if you like card games, maybe this is for you. Who knows? Very, very nice. I need to play Aura more. Very, very fun. We're not doing Roland, as I said. Has not been released, so I'm gonna skip that one. Let's look at Ramsay. Now, Ramsay is a assassin. I believe it's called like a frontliner as well, which is really cool. Assassin is all about like really cool combo attacks with poison, which is really interesting. The basic attack here looks like this. There's a combo, pretty similar to Wu, which we'll get to. But yeah, that's the basic attack like this. You can also do dodges. You know, we have these. All heroes have like really cool dodge attacks and very more advanced stuff, basically. But he's also similar in the sense that he likes to lower his cooldown of things. So we'll get to that as well. But yeah, the unique thing here is that even though you have this melee combo, if you dodge, it actually becomes a ranged attack. So you can like melee, dodge, and then you get a ranged attack. Pretty cool and really nice as a finisher. The right click here is a rush attack, which basically allows you to dodge attacks, but also deal damage, right? So it's kind of an escape, not full on escape ability, but it's more like if you're fighting and you're like, oh, I gotta dodge this, right? So very useful in that way. Also, I mean, it does deal damage, so it's very useful. You can upgrade these, we'll get to that because they all work together a bit, but you can do some really cool stuff, how they synergize together. Now the Q is it looks amazing. It's basically like this. The basic attack is just like, you're poking them. Not really, but yeah, it's a decent attack, right? I like to go with AoE here. It really depends on what you prefer, but you can upgrade it to deal more damage, for example. So, oh, I want to do that. Okay, and I want to break their armor. Okay, well, there we go. Bam, broken armor. You can also make it deal AoE damage around you instead of being like a targeted attack. It's just around your character, which is the build that I really liked when I played it. The E here is, I suppose, similar to Imani buffing her buffing her attacks rather, and Voden with the poison, but it applies like a buff to your weapon, right? So the next attack will apply a like pretty nasty poison. So if I use this and then I do this attack, you can see there's a poison now. Now there's some stuff to consider here, right? Like if I hit with my basic attack, I can lower the cooldown of this, right? So you can use the poison more often, for example. And like, okay, I want more poison, so I'm gonna go more poison. Like, oh crap, look at that! I can apply bleed, or get more crit chance. So if you have teammates, you know, that like to crit a lot or get more damage from crits, then you can do that. So, you know, now I'm bleeding, or now I'm applying bleed there, rather, and I'm like, oh, well, I want the poison as well, so now I have heavy poison here. Zapping with ranged, here you got this to break the armor, or if you have the AoE build, and if you get a targeted or focused, you can use your dodging, right? Dodge away. Dodge your problems away. The focus is Fruit Punch. This is pretty funny one. Essentially, it's an AoE ability that applies poison to everyone around you, and you also go into stealth, which is interesting. But you like apply it like this, so now everyone around you is poisoned and you are stealthed. So it can be used as an escape ability. It's pretty funny. I think it's a decent one when I used it in games, and I had a lot of fun with this character actually. I normally don't like assassins in a way, but this guy is really fun. So I'm definitely gonna play more of him, I think. Alright. Next up is Tyto, which is, I would argue, one of the more popular, always been like one of the more popular heroes. So all about, I mean, assassins are all about movement in general, right? And being agile. Now Tyto is that as well. You got these really cool dodges, so you can like do dash attacks with your basic attacks. Yeah, the basic attack here is, you know, a combo, which we all know and love. The last hit deals more damage, I believe. But yeah, very high damage because, you know, it is an assassin, right? Now what's really cool here is that you can get the dodge buff, right? You can go crit and focus, but I believe the dodge build is pretty crazy because you tend to move around a lot, and you know, you want to be agile and dodge out of stuff and still be very you know, put a lot of pressure on enemies, right? So what you can do is basically you have your basic attack, but if you dodge and now I attack, I apply bleed, right? And bleed is very strong in this game. Like if you haven't seen the Knossos game, then yeah, I mean, it's very strong. So I'm applying a bleed now, but I also deal more damage in general, right? Because I'm dodging and then attacking. Now the right click here, the right ability is a swoop, so similar-ish to Margrave, but you like to use swoop to an area. I'm gonna reduce my cooldown. So you do a leap, and then at the end of the leap, you can see there's a slash. So you attack at the end of it. So a cool initiator as well, but also really good at chasing people down, right? And like getting the kill, essentially. Alright. Upgrading this, you can do damage, or you can remove the attack, but basically go more defensive if you want to do that. If you want to be more agile, for example. The Q here is a blade dance, which is really cool. You basically do like a sort of a blade storm sort of thing. You like just dance around with your blades. A very, very good ability, I would say. Once again, I like to go bleed, so I would just take bleed here. I'm like, okay, on maximum buffs your damage. Okay, cool. Well, I'll do that then. So now I'm bleeding, and I'm dodging, and I bleed, and then I dodge, and I get more damage. I bleed, you know pretty much what's going on here. And then you can chase them down if they run away, and like, bam. The E ability here is Fang, so it's the pet, I suppose, sitting on the shoulder there. So you throw Fang at someone, like that. Now, I believe it is a skill shot, so you actually have to aim it. Now, Fang does apply a bleed, because we like that a lot. But what's really sick here is you can actually teleport, right? So this is actually nuts, if you ask me. So you have you have your dodge bleeds and buffs, and you got like the dance and everything. And like, let's say you use your leap here, and you're like just out of range. You're like, oh god damn it. Well, if you get the upgrade here on Fang, you can just throw it, and then you teleport to the target, and I have the daze upgrade. So like the potential of Tyto just chasing down and nuking enemies is actually insane. So really, really good. Now the focus ability here is, come on, Austin, sing it. The focus ability here allows you to rush in a straight path, straight ahead, and you apply bleed to anyone that's hit. Basically, that's what it does. So I'm just gonna charge like this, bam. And now anyone caught in that charge will have a really strong bleed on him. Yeah, that is basically Tyto. Very agile, very strong, and I mean, we know bleeds are great and good, all in all. All right, let's move on to the next one. Good old Wu. Now, Wu is a martial artist, so also an assassin. So, right, you want to be agile, you want to move around, you want to do your shenanigans. The basic attack here is a combo once again. So, like with many other heroes, especially assassins, you have a combo, bam, 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 like that. Now it can be upgraded to do some pretty fun stuff. Now you can completely try and deny enemies anything by like sprint attacking, or like doing like this, like very, I don't know, I can't remember what the attack is called, but most heroes have that. I think all of them do actually. Maybe not ranged, but melee does. You can give it an uppercut, which is really nice, because it ignores the damage, which is kind of crazy. So you still have the combo here, but if I use, for example, any other skill, it will do an uppercut. So I can go full on uppercut here, for example. I can even do it by myself if I want to. Now, this really depends, right, how you want to play it. But you know, bleed is very strong, so I like to go with that. But like this one's also pretty decent, I would say. So if I dodge now, I do an uppercut, right? If I do it in the correct way, that is. Now the right click here is a splash kick. So it's sort of an escape ability, but also like you can also, you know, engage enemies. Cooldowns again. You also push enemies. So if I leap here, you see I can push Knossos. Now, if I push again, I land like this, which also deals damage. Now, you can reduce the cooldown. I like to do the armor here, especially if they're pretty tanky. So if I want to chase them down, I can do this, and then bam, cracked armor and slowed. And I feel like on Wu you really want to slow as much as you can, because I mean, you want to get close to your enemy, right? So the Q is a crashing waves. It's essentially like a wave projectile, very special. I believe they changed this from last time I played it, but I think it's more like the upgrade path now. Looks really cool. What I like to do here is that I like to definitely go a control style. So you can either roll forward and push enemies, or you can like try and weaken them, which means weaken is they deal less damage, which is significant. So and there's also, like, much like Ramsay, it also synergizes. If you upgrade, you can synergize with your other abilities. So like, oh, I want to go crit, or I can do major weaken, right? So if I make sure to use my splash kick here, oh sorry, if I hit this, I can use my splash kick, so it becomes this, like I said, like a combo, because it is a combo character, right? So now I can just like deal more damage with my Q. The E ability is probably one of the more fun ones in the game. It's Tongue Lash, which is basically you grab an enemy, right? So it's another skill shot where you like do this and you pull someone, and it has pretty decent range actually. You can be pretty far away and you can just pull someone away, right? It does not work on allies. Could be an upgrade in the future, who knows, but you can't do that right now. Now what's very interesting here is there is a build where you can essentially reset cooldowns by using the Tongue Lash. So if I pick this, it will reset the cooldown of my splash kick and the crashing waves. But you need to hit your tongue, right? You need to hit the target or it doesn't work. So but if I use the kick and then I use my splash wave and then they are on cooldown, I can like grab an enemy and now I can do it again, right? So that's the whole thing with like comboing. So you combo and then reset and then you combo again, right? So you can really be in the face of your enemy and like deal with them effectively. I feel like the damage is a bit low, but I think it's just me being bad at the hero right now. The focus here is a massive, it's like one massive uppercut basically. Like it gives you armor, damage, like a buff essentially, but also launches the enemies. So if I do this, yeah, I launched him and now I'm buffed. So now I can be even more annoying, right? Yeah, really fun hero. I want to play more Wu. Now, what people really like to do back in the day in Gigantic, we went through this in the Rush video, but most of the maps have, you know, areas where you can fall off the map and you die, right? So there was a badge for this too, but there was a thing where you would basically push enemies off the map, right? You can push enemies and stuff like that, but Wu is quite unique in that if you use a certain setup, you can jump off the map, right? So if the pit of death is down here, you jump off the map, you pull someone with the tongue, right? So like you use your kick, like this thing, to actually jump off the map. You use the tongue to pull them to you, and then you land back onto the map, and they just fall down and die, right? And that was like an actual thing back in the day. And like I said, there's a badge in the game, like mini achievement thing, where it's like, oh, you managed to, you know, push this enemy off the map, right? But Wu was very unique in that he could just do it by pulling them off the map by being outside himself. Yeah. Very special. All right, let's do one more assassin, the good old Tripp. Probably, in my opinion, one of the more annoying characters to play against. if they're good, I would say Tyto and Tripp are really annoying to play against when they're really good players. Tripp is essentially your typical assassin character, right? So it's like a rogue essentially. Now the basic attack here is crazy, right? It's a longer combo. It's like 7 hits, and the last one deals a ton of damage. So the damage profile is it's essentially a glass cannon, right? You deal a ton of damage on Tripp. Now you can deal even more damage if you feel like that. You can get more crit. I believe the crit build used to be pretty good back in the day, if I remember. That was very popular, so I don't know if that's still the case, but you know, you can buff your damage or go with crit. It's up to you. But the basic attack is kind of nuts, as it is. Not a lot of health, but yeah, that's an assassin for you. The right click here is you throw some daggers. Now, what's really cool here is that you can buff, just like with Wu, you can buff your other attacks. So like, oh, if I hit this, I can buff my attack, right? And what's even better is like, oh, I can slow them or crack them. So if it's a tanky target, like I can throw my knives like this, and then like, now deal more damage, right? I mean, they're bleeding and they have the armor on them, so like the amount of damage you can dish out is pretty crazy. And like with many other heroes, she has like dodge attacks. The Q is really cool. I think if you're new to the game, if anything, you're gonna learn the sound cues from Tripp the most. I feel like, because Tripp is such a, like, the sounds are very unique, and she's such a like a high damage dealer that if you don't deal with her, she can destroy everyone pretty much. So the Q here is a slide, and if you press it again, you do a kick up. So I can slide into this enemy here and then like kick him up, and then like start doing my thing, or like dodge and, you know, or stealth away, which we'll get to. But yeah, the kick here is really cool. You can just do a slide, or if you do the kick, it gets you know, a really good initiator, I would say. Now this one's pretty nasty because you can actually do an automatic crit. It's pretty good. And you can even buff your basic attack again, which, I mean, you can already do, or which I already done here, right? But I can do it again, right? So now I can give it critical strikes, right? And you can press this at any point, right? You can like do this. So it's got pretty sick range to it. Like, it feels really good to use. So yeah, you would see, I think normally we'll see people do this and then try and, you know, initiate and then like kick them and stuff. Is what I've seen at least lately. The E here is flash dance. It's basically stealth, right? So it's your defensive ability on Tripp. And yeah, you need this. I've seen Tripp players stay around for way too long, so that's pretty common. But yeah, you can be more controlly here, or like, well, I don't want that. It's kind of like Imani in a way, right? Where you like want to get away as quickly as you can, basically. So yeah, now I can. Yeah, well, there we go. They changed it to be a toggle on the way, but now I have a speed boost. So if I use my stealth, I speed boost. I also have the teleport. I don't think people use the teleport that much, but I can teleport now, and I also get speed boost. The other upgrade is removing the delay of the stealth. So the focus here is really nasty. It's Blade Storm. It is a extremely deadly focus attack, I would say. Does a ton of damage, and you can see like it kind of attaches to enemy. So, like, I target Knossos here, and like teleport, and then bam. There's also some AoE going on here. It's a very high damage ability that also stuns them. It's really cool. I think it's this, right? Yeah, exactly. So if you don't hit your target, right? Normally it would teleport to your enemy, but if I don't hit my target, I actually come back. You can actually see Tripp traveling and then coming back, like a thunderstorm or like lightning or something. Because that's essentially the theme of the character, I feel like. So yeah, that's Tripp. Extremely deadly in the right hands, I would say. And if anything, as a new player, you will learn the audio cues from this character. That's why, if you watch some of my matches, you'll probably see me or hear me go, oh, I hear Tripp, right? Because that's like how nasty that hero can be. So, alright. Let's move on to the next one. Let's have a look at the right side of the hero selection here, which is where we have the frontliners and supports. So let's start with Knossos, good old Knossos. One of my favorite melee characters, very strong, very deadly. Yeah, so as with many other melee characters here, you have a basic combo attack, where you deal quite a lot of damage in this case. I would say, very strong character like I said. Now, I'd like to go with the bleed build on Knossos. It's very, very strong, very good. So for the basic attack, I would, for example, go with the bleed and the refresh bleed here. So if I sprint and attack, and I'll apply the bleed, and if I attack them again, it actually refreshes the bleed and keeps going. Very, very strong. Now the right click is it's a simple throwing the spear. Yeah, that's it. Doesn't deal a lot of damage, like 148. But as with the basic attack, I like to buff it with the bleed. So now if I pick this upgrade, I can now charge it and like do like a skill shot, and bam, you apply a bleed, and then I can sprint and bleed and bleed and bleed and bleed and everywhere. It's crazy good and really fun to play. The interesting thing here is that you can buff yourself with this. As with many other heroes, you can buff yourself depending on what you do. Now, if enemies tend to run away quite a bit, you can do the backstab here, you know, because you get a ton of damage from behind, like a lot. Or you can buff your own basic attack. So, right, I'm gonna attack this, bam, I have a damage boost, and now I deal more basic attack damage. So really good in like team fights and such. Alright. Next up is the Q ability, which is where you charge forward, and you also cancel any enemies caught. So I will do this. Doesn't look like much, but this can be upgraded to a second stronger attack, and this is where it can get really, really nasty, especially if you use it with a kill. So instead of only having the normal charge like this, which feels like it should do a knock-up or something, I can now charge and then press it again, and I deal like this extra attack with both spears, like this. And then if you kill someone with this, you get a lot of focus. So really cool. Very, very good. Pretty hard to aim in fights. It can get pretty hectic, but if you hit it, it can be really nasty. The E here is a buff. It's only for yourself, but it increases your movement speed, right? So you can escape or catch up, or you know, whatever you need to do. Now it can be upgraded. We used to be able to upgrade it, maybe we still have it, to apply it to your teammates. I think it still does if you go the defensive route here. So like, oh, I want to be tanky and help teammates, you can do that. Oh, here we go, yeah. So now I can also share it with allies. So I buff my speed and damage, but it also applies to my allies around me. So now I have speed, damage, and everyone else around me got it as well. So very, very nice if you want to be like this character that really push. And I mean, Knossos is a frontliner, so you do want to push. So, here you go. Last but not least, the focus here is a ring of spears around Knossos. So it deals damage that ignores armor. It applies a bleed, applies armor break, and it also like stuns enemies, like interrupts them. It's a crazy good. So like you want to go into a team fight, bam, there you go. Really strong. I tend to use it on one charge, but you know, it is worth saving up at times, just so you guys know. There's also a weird bug with the projectile VFX. I'm not sure why. We had that in the beta. I hope they fix it. We'll see. Alright. That is Knossos. Let's move on to Margrave. Now, if you're a tank, or if you like to play tanky characters, this is the guy for you. He has a ton of health and takes a ton of health, and he's tanky in general, right? You have to be wary of certain things, right? Like armor breaks and stuff. But even as a tank, you can do cool stuff, right? You got your melee combo here, which is very basic, but it can be upgraded. So you get another attack, or you can even do some really strange shenanigans here with countering the enemies, which basically means you become more tanky and you like debuff enemies essentially. So like, oh, I want to do this instead, you know, and like, oh, I'm just gonna do this. I like to be a brawler, you know, bam. So that fourth attack right there has more damage and more crit chance. So you can deal more damage rather than being tanky if you would want that. The right click here is basically a channeled ability. So you want to hold this down. You get a shield in front of you. This, while it is up, deflects any projectiles. I have cooldowns. It deflects all the projectiles, actually you get a higher cooldown the more you use it, which is not great, but it's such a strong ability, especially when you buff this, because you can make it last for longer, or you can be really greedy. Like, it's up to you. Like, I don't want deflection. Who wants that? Why would I do that? Right? I just want, damage. That's what I want, right? So, like, now I'm just gonna deal a ton of damage, and then I'm gonna deal a ton of damage, and then more damage, and I haven't tried the brawler build on this, but I've seen people play the tanky one, and it's pretty crazy. So, we'll see. Next time we can play the game, I will play some other heroes. The Q here is a charge, so I can charge forward, charge into fights, which is very useful when you get to the focus ability, but you can just charge in, and use your thing, slam, or, try and control the fight, take some damage. Now, this is very cool because you can't be crowd controlled during this, and you also push enemies away. Now, what you can do here is that you can also add an extra attack to this if you really want to. So, like, oh, I like to charge in and attack. Oh, cool. Okay, I'll always do that then. How about that? And then, bam. More like I said, more like a brawler build, right? The E here is a leap. So, the difference I would say here is that, it does deal damage, but it has a short stun. So, like Tyto, for example, had an attack at the end of it. Margrave is like, bam, stun. Trying to control the fights, right? So same here, you can increase stun duration or more damage. It's like, do you want to control the fight more, or do you want to be, dealing more damage, basically. Now the focus here, like I said, is very good with the charge. It basically is an AoE around you, so you interrupt enemies and you become more tanky. So what you could do is go into the fight, charge in, and then use the focus, right? And now you basically interrupted everyone in the team fight, and then you can start doing your thing. You can even leap in place if you want to do that, to do another follow-up stun. It's very dependent on how you want to play it, right? But you can control the fight a lot with Margrave. So very tanky. You can play him as a brawler, as with any tankier characters. Very good initiator, as he should be, and he's controlling the fights. So yeah, that is Margrave. Let's move on to Rutger, who is once again a more tankier frontliner, I would say. It's like I feel like it's kind of in between, kind of like more like Pakko in a way, but in between Knossos and Margrave, sort of. Now, Rutger is very special because if you look at the health bar, down here, you can see only half is green. Sorry, my throat was acting up. The half is green, the other half is your shield, right? So you have shield and then health. That's unique to this hero. Once again, we have a basic attack here, but it's pretty funny. The Margrave slams his fist into the ground, but Rutger uses his actual tail to slam. Got a really cool sprint animation as well. I think he's an armadillo or whatever it's called, right? Really cool. Yeah, so once again, it's just like with Margrave. Like, do I want to be tanky? Do I want to go tank, or do I want to go bruiser? You can make your own build and mix and match, right? Like, no, I want to be more tanky. So instead of restoring 10 shield when I do this, I restore 10 or 20 rather. So yeah, basically tanky or not, right? Yeah, or deal more damage. This one's kind of crazy because it ignores armor, or some of the armor, and ignoring armor is really, really strong. So the right click here is a tremor, which basically is another channel ability. So I hold this down, bam. So it's a triple attack. 1, 2, bam. The third one is the one that should knock up at least. Yes, okay. So anyone caught takes damage and are slowed, and then the last one does like a short stun or push basically, and more damage. So this is all about, right, do I want to control the fight, or do I want to do more damage? Like, I want to do more damage. Of course I do. I'm a tank, but I like damage, right? So I'm just gonna do this. Bam! More damage and cracked armor. Not bad. The Q is really cool. It's burrow. So you go on the ground like this. And you are immune during this. So if you see a Rutger using this ability, don't bother. Like nothing's gonna happen. What's important to note, just like the basic attack here, is that you restore shield, right? So half health is shield. So when you burrow, you restore 150, right? So a really good defensive option here for Rutger, and a really fun ability, because you can press it again, right? So if I do this and then press it again, you emerge, which means you can upgrade this to actually hit enemies, which is actually really cool. So if I get this upgrade here, and then I go use my ability here, and then bam, I can deal damage and push them away. So as you can see with the upgrade now, I got a ready kill on the ground, and it's like bam. Very useful, and once again to control a fight, much like Margrave. Now, what Margrave does not have, he has a leap, but Rutger has a wall, like a literal wall. So if you like to block people off, if you want to like set up these, they're trying to escape, or maybe a teammate is trying to escape, for example, and you want to like help them, you put a wall, right? Just put a wall up, right? You can increase the duration here, make it like a bit tankier, or you can add another function to this, right? So for example, if you have enemies following a teammate, you block them off and they're right by the wall, I can just press it again, and now they take damage and they get debuffed, right? So you can get this thing where, I saved my teammate, now I remove the wall, like I stopped the enemies, remove the wall, dealt damage, cracked them, and now we can push back like immediately, right? You can turn the fight around, which is really cool. I've seen some really cool plays back in the day when we did tournaments, especially on Sanctum Falls, where we had some clutch wall playsage. Really cool stuff. It's really fun to see a good Rutger player. But the focus might be the funniest one, because you literally rock and roll. Like, you curl up, you charge and roll forward, right? You push enemies, you're tankier, and you deal damage, right? So it's a lot of fun. You know, like this is the normal sprint, but like if I press the focus, I will do this, and then I go ham, right? Very fun ability to use, and I don't know. It feels like it has a short duration, but it's very dependent on, obviously. I feel like I've seen Rutgers be in that mode for forever, but it feels like forever, but it isn't. So there you go. A very fun and unique hero. Like I said, has half health, half shield. Yeah, I mean, you can survive pretty well without being on the tanky upgrades. I do want to try the brawler build at some point. Yeah, so we'll see. Now, next up we have Pakko. I wonder who this guy is. Pakko the Baby Yeti. So once again, another you know, frontliner. I suppose a tank. I mean, I think that's like kind of the way Pakko's seen. Most of these are. Like Knossos isn't really a tank according to me. It's more like a frontliner. Like, then they have frontliners and tanks. Like Pakko's like tank, but more. I play him more like a bruiser, right? Like more like a brawler rather, right? I just go ham with damage, and because he's still quite tanky. But in any case, basic attack once again. You have like a combo, right? A very interesting animation. I love it. You can go tanky once again or more damage, for example, if you want that. So like, oh, I want more damage, and then I want more damage against frozen enemies. I wonder what that means. Yeah, well, Pakko is all about ice, right? Ice and snow. So the right ability is the snowball. So I throw a snowball, bam, there you go. Now I deal more damage. Well, once they're frozen, at least. The snowball can be charged like this, and then you can bam, hit them like that, frozen and stunned, or freeze rather. Now, what you could do here is, what I like to do is make it stick to enemies. So, for example, oh, they're frozen for longer. So if I do this, bam, now it sticks to them. Now they're more frozen. Now, I normally don't really charge this. Sometimes I do, like if we're on a point and like I want to, you know, be a nuisance, right? But normally when I'm in a fight, I like to go in and just literally just click it once, like that. Because it still stuns and freezes. It's just like a shorter duration, right? So it's still very useful. I can do that and then I go in and I kill. So it really depends on the situation for that. The Q is one of the coolest things. You slide on your butt, because why not? A very funny looking ability, really nice. What's really cool here is, well, initially only gives you the movement speed, right? Which is, I mean, is pretty damn good. You can do an uppercut. So if I slide and press it again, I do an uppercut like this. So I deal damage to them, like bam, like that. And I can upgrade this to do some more cool shit. Sorry, stuff. My bad. I'm just excited. I love this game, man. It's amazing. You can heal yourself, which I've had some close calls not having to heal. But if you play the brawler build, you actually do the roll instead of a slide, and I don't know about that. But you know, I like the slide, but now I have the roll. So the roll allows me to roll into enemies and hit them, which freezes them and also daze them. So I'm gonna roll and then bam, press it again, and it becomes dazed and takes damage. I can roll around like a snowball. Now it has a very short duration. See this? So like it's actually pretty tricky to time this perfectly to make sure you build it up, right? But a very useful upgrade for the brawler build at least. The second to last ability here is a really cool ability that increases your movement speed. It's also, you know, it also absolutely hinders enemies, right? Like, you know, they become frozen or freeze and have lower movement speed and then take damage as long as they're in the path, right? But it also buffs your allies. So it's not like Knossos. Like Knossos, you need the, you know, for the shout or the buff, you need the upgrade, but not for this. And you know, friendlies just have to walk on this. So what I like to do here is I like to buff it over time, Johnny? This is the tankier option. Yeah, I think I like to go on the left side. Yeah, but this is the tankier option where you get a bigger movement speed and heal. The one I like to take is the one that actually buffs your damage, and it applies to friendlies as well. So teammates will also get movement speed and damage. So it's a very nice tool to help push with. The focus here is basically breathing freezing air. Like this is like not a bad breath, but rather cold breath. So you breathe at enemies, and after a few seconds they turn into snowmen. So it deals damage, reduces movement speed, because you want enemies to get caught in it basically, and they turn into snowmen, they become interrupted. Now you break the snowman by attacking people, or they also break by themselves, but normally it's because you attack them, and actually deals extra damage to them. So if I use my focus here, bam, now it's snowman and I attack him, there you go. Maybe it doesn't look like much, but it's extremely useful. I've had so much use of this focus, it's kind of crazy. Snowball him, now he's stunned when he came out, you can buff your damage, yada yada. The path here I like to use, for example, on wounds. Right, you push for a wound, it's amazing. Yeah, that is pretty much Pakko in a nutshell. One of the stupidly fun heroes to play, in my opinion. Alright, so to start off the last part of this video and the support section, we are going to start off with Zandora, which is a support and frontliner hero. Very interesting hero that is mainly focused around auras. So with this basic attack, we once again have a combo, melee combo showing here, to do some damage. Now you can upgrade this to instead have a beam attack. So you can still do your combo, but if you hold it down, you actually do a beam instead. So I'm holding my attack now, I'm doing a beam, but then if I tap it, I can still do the combo from before, something like this. I also got another upgrade here which attaches an aura to the enemy, which we'll get to. The right click is the first aura that she has, which gives you damage, essentially, you and allies near you. So allies have to be near you for this to work, but you attack, and after that the aura goes off, and you now have the aura, you and your allies around you. So I can use this, and since I have the upgrade here, we can instead attach it to the enemy if we really want to. Now this, as it increases your damage and allies damage, you can basically make this more powerful if you really want to, but it reduces the duration, and yeah, it's essentially like which way do you want to go here, and what makes the most sense, right? So you can go basic attack damage, for example, but what used to be a really popular build is essentially lowering cooldowns of the other auras. So if if I hit this aura, it reduces the cooldown of the other two, and there's like this synergy where you can lower cooldowns of the ones that are on cooldown, which is you can have like quite a high uptime if you want to do that. The next aura, the Q is haste, right? So movement speed. So we're not gonna move fast, and our ally is gonna move quickly. So we just run around, going really, really fast. Now this one once again can be upgraded. Like, do we want more movement speed, or what do we want? The build that I play the most is the one with the sprint. So I can sprint, and then I press my Q and I do a dash. So sprinting, Q, dash. And you can dash into enemies, and do your wombo combo. Like with many other abilities, it interrupts the enemy. So if they're taking a point, taking a power orb, right? And like we bump into them, and I accidentally missed. That was totally on purpose, so I'll do it again. Something like that. You can also cliff enemies, which we talked about we talked about Wu earlier, right? You can push enemies off the map and stuff. So The heal here is the last aura that we have. So once again, you can, another aura heals over time. It also lingers a bit, kind of like Sven, which we'll get to, but it also lingers a bit when you go out of it. The important part with this aura is that it also purifies allies, or cleanse, which basically means it removes all the debuffs on you and nearby allies. So very important in case there are a lot of debuffs going on and whatnot. So yeah, we heal. You can also go for more healing, more duration, and even armor. So you can make this a really, really strong heal, cleanse, armor. I got a really good support aura, basically. So there we go. We have all the auras here that we can use. And last but not least, we do have the focus ability, which I'm gonna cleanse this burn that I have on me because Latigas. Thank you. The focus here gives you and everyone around you a shield, so it's a really good extra layer defense if you need to save someone, save yourself, or if you're doing a push, right? Now, an important part here is that the basic attack here with your sword actually restores the shield, right? So if the shield drops in, let me see if I can show it here. If I use the shield here and I just keep attacking, it actually restores it for every single hit. So it's quite strong. Like, it still has a duration, obviously, but if you have a push and use the shield, and you actually, you have your aura going, and you're actually like maybe charging in and attacking, that shield will last for a bit longer, in not duration-wise, but the fact that they haven't been able to remove it because you keep regenerating the shield, basically. So yeah, but that is Zandora, the first support hero. So let's go on to the next one. We have Grandma Griselma here. And Sven is the grandpa and Griselma is the grandma. So Griselma is basically I'd say a meme, but it's a really really special character to play. She is essentially like a turret, like you place turrets more or less, which we'll get to. But the basic attack here is a beam, so I can hopefully get in range here. I'm gonna use a beam on Knossos. You can tell that the damage isn't really great. There's a reason for that. I mean, it's not upgraded, that's one reason. You can now upgrade this to do some cool stuff. You can either help your portal beasts, which we'll get to, deal more damage, or you can heal them. So I'm gonna take the heal, and then I'm gonna take the damage, because now we're gonna talk about portal beasts, which is the right click. So the right click is you summon a portal beast. Okay, so I hold down the right mouse button here. You can see there are two lines coming from this. That is the cone, like the vision that they have. So make sure you place them in the right way, where you want them to fire. Release, and then you have summoned a portal beast. So this is a turret, right? Now they don't have a lot of health, but the upgrade that I got to my basic attack allows me to actually slap my hands. I know this is ridiculous, but I slap my beasts, and when I do, I heal them and they get a damage buff, right? So I can put down another one next to this one, like this. Now I can hit both of them, they both heal, they both damage, they're going ham. There we go, good stuff. Now this is obviously the basic version. So for example, I would like them to help my allies. So okay, well, I'll make it so they actually buff everyone around them, right? And you can even make it better. So, I put down one, and you can see it now buffs allies within the circle. And you probably noticed that the beasts that I had before did not retroactively upgrade this, right? So I have to put them down again, and they obviously buff themselves. So there you go, I've stacked them, And yeah, they're just doing their thing. They have pretty decent range, as you can tell, because you can really only have these two right now. The Q is called the Rift Zone. The important part here, this is an area denial, right? We've talked about that before. Now you put this down, you place a beast inside of this zone, it reduces the cooldown of the summon, right? So this has a 9-second cooldown, but if I put this zone down, summon my beast, you can see the cooldown started, and it's really short. So you want to make sure, if you're able to, essentially put the zone down and summon both of your beasts before it disappears, right? So you can do a few things here. You can go with the surprise, which is pretty interesting. Basically, if you would like to be a bit more pokey, a bit more annoying, I guess, you can damage your portal beast damage. You can boost, rather, the damage. And you can just keep going. Like, you can give him a shield, which is like crazy. Or you can go with even more of a cooldown reduction. I think it's basically instant. You have no cooldown in the end. So right now I've upgraded this, so now there will be more damage, right? So if I put this down, they have more damage and they have a massive shield on it, right? Now I can put down another. I guess I need the instant for that. But yeah, you can do some crazy stuff, especially in Rush, because you already have the upgrades, right? So in Clash it's a bit more, yeah, it's a bit hit and miss, I would say. Anyway, the escape on Grandma here is called Displacement. So you go into a portal, like this, you stay in here and you heal over time, and then you exit. Now what you can do is you can press it again. So you go into a portal and you press it again, and now you're out. So like you have this early, you know, you can cancel it essentially. But what I like to do is actually get the upgrade here that teleports you. So you go into portal, press it again, and you teleport, right? Because you're kind of squishy on this character, right? So you kind of want to rely on your teammates a bit, but you also want to rely on your beasts, and if you really have to, you can teleport, and you can teleport to higher areas as well. I like to go with the upgrade here that stuns enemies nearby, so you teleport and it stuns them. So you can actually use it as an initiator if you really want to. So what is cooler than two beasts? Well, one big one. So Griselma, the focus ability is one massive beast, one massive hand essentially, and yeah, it just deals a ton of damage, right? So I'll go up to Knossos here, we put down the beast, bam, now we have a massive beast here doing a lot of slappy hands damage. We used to call these slappy hands. And yeah, I can even buff the big one, right? Because I have that upgrade. So yeah, there you go. That is Grandma right there, or Griselma, which is her actual name. A lot of fun, a bit of a meme, but yeah, I mean, I do like playing her now and then. Depends on the build, as with most heroes. Oh, Aisling, here we go. It's been a while since I played Aisling. Very cool character. She has, okay, the backstory is really sad. We'll get to that. Let's start with the basic attack, okay? So, you know, really cool. A little kid with a massive sword to do some really cool stuff. You know, doing a very basic attack here. A lot of pretty nice. And you're like, why is she support? Well, you'll see. So you can go with a wave ability here. So like, oh, I don't like doing melee attacks. I want to shoot range stuff instead. And then when I hit an ally, I want to buff them. So now I just shoot magic missiles from my sword instead. If they hit my allies, they get more damage or armor, depending what you pick. So what is the sad part? Well, the right ability is this. So this Sir Kador, it's a ghost pet, I guess you could say. Kador is if I'm not wrong, you can correct me in the comments, but I believe Cater is her dead dad. So this is her dad's ghost essentially, and her dead dad is helping her fight. Cater's command is a right click, so you know, if he's not summoned, you summon him, and you basically can control where you want him to go, right? And he tends to follow you. If he dies, he will stun enemies around him. Now, for those of you who are keen-eyed, the sword has changed. That's because Cater was inside the sword. So when Cater dies, he stuns enemies and he goes back into the sword. That's how that works. Yeah, you can pick and choose here, kind of like the basic ability, right? Do we want damage or armor? Like, oh, I want Cater to help my teammates, so I go armor, right? And then you can pick like even healing. So you know, when you move around like this, it's like, okay, any allies near Cater here now will have more armor and healing, and it's like basically making sure that he's fighting alongside your teammates, or hopefully your teammates can fight alongside Cater. Who knows? We'll see. The Q here is really cool. It's the war cry of Cater. So it will slow enemies and even interrupt. You can upgrade this to do some cool stuff. So, for example, the normal attack, you go here, press Q, it does that, slows, interrupts, it goes ham. Now I can upgrade this to completely remove the cancel, but what's really cool is, if I fully upgrade this, upgrade 1 does this, and then it like applies a like a damage boost, so we're gaining a lot more damage and a lot more utility to our team. There's another one which is I can't remember the name of it, but it is a basically he does a dome around him, so there's a big bubble around him, and he's basically standing there and then doing a bubble, and it will deflect all the projectiles and everything. So it's a really cool thing. I like it a lot. Here we go. Come back, Cater. Come back. Stop. Stop. Right. So you're probably thinking, can we get rid of him? Yeah, we can. No, but so the E ability here is Into the Blade, which basically means we remove Cater from the battlefield, but it actually helps you. Not because he's annoying, but it actually heals you. So it heals you, you get armor, and like basically it's, you know, it's essentially your defensive ability. So what you can do is you can use it like, oh, I want to use it while sprinting. I was like, no, I want more shield. Okay, well, I guess I'll get a shield. Why not? Not only that, you can heal your allies, or get rid of debuff or debuffs, or actually be immune to debuffs. So I'll just use E here. Now I have a shield, and I got debuff immunity, and I'm like super defensive. So, I'll spawn Cater, and there we go. Now I have the upgrade here, so you can see the circle around Cater. That is a massive area, but it's really cool. You can send him in, he does his shield, yeah, stuff like that. So really, I haven't played much Aisling in a while, but I remember when she came out, she was a lot of fun to play, so I'll probably play more of her. The focus ability here is Terrify. So we tell Cater to go in, and he's like, boo, I'm a ghost, right? No, but it like heavily CCs enemies, which is very useful in team fights. So I'm like, okay, go in here, bam. Even though it seemed to didn't really do what I wanted to. Interesting. Yeah, it's a heavy CC, extremely good in team fights. We can put our bubble up, you know, and then we can come back and we can retreat and do some cool shenanigans. Yeah, very, like with all the heroes, very unique, very cool hero, and you know, having like a pet character is always kind of hard to balance. I think they really nailed this one. Alright, we are almost done. Imagine that. Who would have thought? So this is probably my favorite hero in the whole game. I played a lot of Sven. 1 second. I have played a lot of Sven, another support character. He's all about using potions. So you can see he's holding 2 different potions. He has got a massive one on his back. And yeah, the basic attack here is the fire potion. So I'm just gonna throw potions and throw potions and more potions. Now it doesn't do much by itself, but you can go like, okay, well, what if I increase the damage with this? Oh, and what if I hit him straight on like this? Like you can see it lowered my attack speed, but now when I hit the enemy, there's a burn, right? So in the commentary video I did of the Sven game, I said that I really like trying to track like Tripp. Like Tripp likes to stealth, right? But any sort of stealth, I like to try and get a burn on them, and you can actually track them with the damage numbers, so that's kind of fun. The right click is the acid potion. It has a 10-second cooldown. I'll remove that for now. It makes a puddle on the ground, and any enemy hit by this or go into the puddle has their armor broken. So which basically means they take more damage because they have less armor, and they take damage over time from that. What you can do here is you can extend this, or you can do like I want to deal more damage. But some cool stuff you can do here is I can go offensive or defensive with this. So I can create an area where my allies are completely immune to debuffs. Or I'm like, no, I want to go more damage. So I throw my acid flask, throw my burning flask, and now it's an acid burning area. So anyone entering has now cracked armor and burn, right? And take damage over time as long as they're standing in it. The next ability here is the Q, which is the ooze. Extremely good ability. This essentially allows you to, it's essentially like, you know, your escape ability, but once again, if enemies are on a point, you can push them like this. You can completely negate, you know, or deny entries, like you saw in the commentary video, for example. Like, oh, you can't enter here. This is literally the only place to enter, but you can't. Insane escape ability. Remember that if there are assassins, they can still chase you down, so that's the point to remember. So what we can do here is that I can buff allies. So you've probably seen this in the videos I've posted. Right, so if I put this down, I now have an armor boost, but I also picked like deflection. So maybe my teammate is fighting an enemy or fighting a group, I can actually use this. Right, they can like escape if they feel like they have to, or I mean they have armor and deflection, so they can probably keep pushing. Especially since I will probably be using the healing potion a lot. So healing potion is amazing. That's a long cooldown, and this one is like one of the most important choices you can pick. Like, do I want to cleanse my teammates, or do I want to like have a lingering heal? It's kind of hard to tell what's worth it. It depends on the match. The heal outside the puddle is amazing, and you can even share it with other allies. So I'll just put it down. So now if I leave it, it still heals me, but the circle that is around me is not the same. The circle is the second upgrade. So that means that, you know, I'm sharing the heal with others around me. Yeah, and then last but not least, we have the focus right here, which turns enemies into Multigas. Basically, it polymorphs them, which means they can't do anything. They're slow, they're dazed, and they can't use their abilities for a few seconds. So even at level 1, it's 2 seconds long, like this. Oh, sorry, I thought it was Multigas. I don't know why. It's snails. My bad. I'm like, why? Didn't make any sense. Yeah, so you do this, bam, they can't do anything. They can move around, but they can't use any abilities, they can't attack, nothing. So, very useful ability. I like to use it a lot at level 1. So, yeah, that is Sven. Definitely my most favorite support hero, I would say. A lot of fun, and I played play it probably way too much. let's be honest. All right, second to last. Here we go. We got Vadasi. Oh boy. I'd say Vadasi is one of them. Has a very high skill ceiling. That is my opinion. I tried it in the latest beta, and I kind of remember how to play her, but honestly, I need to play way more. So, Vadasi is all about using your own health to heal others. So you will constantly be going up and down in health. So the normal attack here is a beam. Now this beam, unlike all the other heroes we looked at, cannot target enemies. See, I'm trying to use it and nothing's happening. This is a healing beam, right? What I can do with this one is heal my teammates. I know it's crazy. I can decide, well, maybe I want the ally I'm healing deal damage around him, right? So while I'm healing this Knossos and he's going in, I am dealing damage because I'm healing him, right? And you can even buff your secondary here, which is pretty cool actually. I kind of like that. Yeah, this heals your teammates. I think I can heal this guy here, for example. So this is the healing beam. Now if we had an enemy near this, they would be taking damage. So there you go. The right click here is smite, which looks like this. Kind of like the first one, right? So the left one is green, the right one is orange. So this obviously targets enemies and deals damage to them. You can increase the damage, or you can change it to fire piercing shots. Now this is all, it all depends on how you like to play. Do you like skill shots or not? Like having the beam but dealing more damage is actually quite nice. Now we'll get to that, but now it deals more damage, but we'll have some additional effects that we'll look at. So we got the healing beam. My Motiga died, unlucky, should respawn. Yeah, okay, let's move on then. The Q here is a self heal. So Vadasi doesn't really have any escapes. Yeah, she doesn't have anything. We'll get to her focus, but she has a self heal. Now this heals over time. Now the important part here is that you can empower this, which we'll also get to, but when you use this, you can go, okay, well, I want the only defensive option in my arsenal to have a reduced cooldown. That kind of makes sense. And why not buff myself, you know? Yeah, let's do that. So I press Q, I heal over time, and I also deal more damage. Like that. Wow, nice. They traded. So I heal, no more damage, bam, over time, there we go. That's pretty much it. It has a 10-second cooldown, so it's quite long. But, like I said, with some other heroes we looked at, it has synergy with some of your other skills. So if we look at the next one, it's called Devotion. So you've probably seen these orbs around here. Now these orbs are important because each orb grants you more healing and damage. So if I press E here now, you can see I took damage. I've activated orbs, which I think they should decay over time. There you go. If I press Q, I will heal, and I will then boost my damage. I just keep going because I can, because I have no cooldowns on. But the important part here is that the more orbs you consume, the more, you know, the higher the effect you get, right? So you deal a lot of damage to yourself, but you get something for that, right? So for example, I want to take less damage when I use this ability because that kind of makes sense. And yeah, let's go crit, why not? So I'm just going to use all my orbs here, and then I'm going to use my right click. Now, you probably noticed something that you didn't see before. I use this damaging beam, and it has an additional effect when I empower it, right? So Devotion here consumes orbs, empowers your abilities. So I empowered my smite, which is the beam. So if I do it again, and I use my smite, I now deal more damage, burn, break the armor, you know, all that stuff. Now, this also applies, like, the important thing here is, or what I like to do rather, is the cooldown reduction. So you can like constantly go buff, heal, essentially. So that's what I like to do at least. It's very important to balance your own health with, you know, what is happening, and it can get pretty hairy at times. So now I use buffs, I use all my orbs, and now I'm just doing crazy healing, and I can use my Q, there we go, and I still have decent healing left, right? So it's like, how many orbs do you want to empower, and how you spend them on your abilities, essentially. Kind of like Ezren, but yeah, not really, I suppose. You don't have to interact with enemies, you don't have to steal things from enemies. That's the big difference. The focus here is taking like literally no damage, or you take 90% less damage pretty much, but yeah, you become extremely tanky, and you get a lot of healing, or increased healing done, so you don't take damage, right? I don't know if I can show him, but how much does this guy deal? Okay. So if I press F here, he's like taking no damage. Now, very, very useful. One of the few focus abilities I would not waste. I know it sounds crazy, but it's like, it can be really easy to waste it, but I'm like, okay, well, I used to use my focus, and then I basically consumed rather all the orbs, and I used a self heal, right? I took no damage, and I could just heal Beckett. So very interesting hero, support hero, but extremely, I feel like it's a very high skill ceiling for this one. Offensive Vadasi is really good. A classic combo with Vadasi is actually a Knossos. So if you have a really good Knossos player and you have a really good Vadasi player, which I believe I posted in my Knossos video, if you haven't checked that out with the bleed build, I believe in that one we had a Vadasi, and that was a good Vadasi player, and you could tell because we could push really hard in that match, so that was cool. Alright, last but not least, a hero I haven't played in a long time, but oh boy, here we are. Alright, so this is Xenobia. Xenobia loves debuffs and stealing health from people. So the basic attack here is another beam. So you deal damage, but you heal yourself. So you basically leech life, right? Life leech, what do you want to call it. Yeah, she even has a leech next to her, floating. So that's the basic attack. You can go offensive here, or you can go like more support to your team. Like, oh, I want more damage. Like, why wouldn't I have more damage? What's really cool here is that the second upgrade, it's like, if you feel like you have a hard time and constantly low on health, you can actually buff your damage and healing. So if you're low on health, you will deal damage and heal more by using your life stealing ability, right? Your basic attack. The right click here is a homing projectile. So it's kind of like when I looked at Voden and the poison, but you don't need an upgrade for this. It just homes in and then like just breaks the armor of enemies like this. Very nice. And you can upgrade this to foe that more enemies, or what I like to do is like slow them down, because especially, you know, you break the armor and you tend to want to use that at targets that are, you know, frontliners or tanky. So I kind of like to really go with a heavy slow here. So for example, the fully upgraded version here, that's like a 40% slow. So if I throw that, let's say we have a team fight, and even though you debuff a Margrave, right? Maybe they try to run away, you throw this down, and like everyone on your team can most likely catch up without even using movement abilities. The Q is a cool ability where you fire out a a wave essentially. This will push enemies or rather knock them up, and also weaken them. Right, the enemies deal less damage. So it's very useful once again if enemies are on points and gathering orbs. You can, you know, do this, erupt them, and they deal less damage. You can see the effect on Knossos here. That indicates that. It can be upgraded to do a lot of cool stuff. Like, oh, I want to launch enemies. Yeah, why not? And yeah, I mean, broken armor. Yeah, I mean, why not? Could do that, for example. There you go. So now you get the launch. It's like, oh, they've been debuffed. Well, then you get another debuff. So they kind of sort of interact in that way. And a very, very fun hero. I should definitely play more of her as well. There are a few heroes I need to play again. The E ability here is a area denial, pretty big one. Looks like this. It basically slows enemies, but like once again you can like, oh, I want to actually have it do more stuff, right? You can go with damage if you want that, or like, oh, I want poison. Why not? Sure, I'll do that. And it's like, how about more self-healing? Okay, if I go with this, any enemy will now heal me for more, right? So you have even more sustain, right? So you got a massive AoE, poisons, and I'm like, now I can heal myself a ton more than before. Why not? And the focus for Xenobia here is once again AoE, so a big area. And what happens is you essentially make enemies immune to any sort of damage. They cannot move, they can't do any abilities, they can't do anything, right? It's kind of like when you, like on Sven, when you polymorph people, they can still move, but with this one, they cannot move. So what happens is they can't take damage, they can't do anything, but you heal, like you basically lifesteal from them, which is really cool. So I can like use this, and I can like do this. So if I give myself some more here, there we go. See, I'm the only one who can damage this, so there we go. Very, very, very strong, and maybe they removed the debuff or the immunity, but in the beta, that was a thing at least. But according to this, they might have removed it, so I guess we'll find out. Yeah, that is, believe it or not, all the heroes that are currently available in the game. Like I said, we do have Roland here, we do have Kajir here. So Roland is a new ranged character, actually new, not really new, he's been around for a long time. He has been redesigned both visually, but also the abilities are somewhat different, I would say. They're very reminiscent of the old ones, which we'll get to that. We'll get to both of these heroes when they're actually released. Kajir is a new assassin, so a very cool one as well. Very yeah, that is it, all the heroes in a nutshell. I hope this helped out. I tried to keep the video short, but I mean there are a lot of them, and I want to make sure that I explain as much as I possibly can. And yeah, if you guys have any more suggestions for videos you would like to see up until the launch of the game, I would appreciate it. Just leave a comment down below, and yeah, I hope to see you guys in the next video.